Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the St. Louis podcast. I am your glorious host today, Eric Brown, sitting next to Chris Reisner. Today we have Kimberly Lebbing on the podcast, and we're going to get into the weeds with her and her business. But before we do, this is a St. Louis podcast where we have a long-winded introduction absolutely every single week. Please, if you're listening now, like, subscribe, review, drop a comment, share it to a friend. We appreciate the support. We're going to meet today again with Kimberly Lebbing. She is a dynamic coach, speaker, and former educator, specializes in empowering individuals to unlock their full potential, and helps her clients achieve mindset shifts that lead to personal and professional growth. Kimberly, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
You act like you can't change the intro. You are the host. You can change it if you want to.
I just did, Matt. I just changed it.
But that's like part of the appeal of the intro.
All right, so I want to get into the first thing first. You talk to a lot of salespeople and you deal with a lot of salespeople. I'm curious, what is like the one thing that you continue to run into? Is there like one common thing that is similar between most salespeople that they either have a thought or they have some sort of issue that's holding them back from making more money?
Yeah. For most, and not just salespeople,
Mhm.
business owners, entrepreneurs, people pleasing is probably the thing that comes up the most.
Okay.
Yeah, huge. And different reasons behind it. But people pleasing, they end up overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Their schedule is full because they're saying yes to shit that they shouldn't.
Yep.
And they don't know how to get out of it because then there's a whole guilt cycle around it.
Interesting. People pleasing. I never would have thought that as the most common occurrence, but that does make sense. So once you find out that that's the issue, how do they change that? What's the first step that they usually need to take?
So, well, my work is subconscious.
Yes.
So I get to the reason behind the people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to guilt. Like
Yep.
there's a guilt cycle behind it, but like what's the deeper reason behind it? Is it, it could be something that happened literally on a playground when you were like 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's something, we all want to blame our parents. It's your parents' fault.
Yep.
Something that happened a long time ago that maybe made you feel not worthy or not enough, or maybe you had a dad that was always telling you got to do this,
Mm-hmm.
be the best, be this, be that, and you end up people pleasing. I see it with people that have big businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it with people that are just starting out.
So I had a conversation actually with someone recently, and in order to now schedule a meeting with them, you have to use his assistant essentially. And he has his whole calendar locked down. There's only like a few specific times a week that he'll meet with people. And it has to go through the assistant, and then he has to actually go ahead and approve it as well. Whereas before, he used to just have essentially an open calendar. And he said that he did that. It was literally for like 6 months or a year, and his revenue increased by 100 times or 100% increase in revenue just based on that. Because, of course, now instead of getting distracted with people pleasing, because a lot of what he was doing is meeting with people that, at the end of the day, probably wasn't very fruitful for him. So locking down the calendar gave him really the access he needed to lock out people that were essentially, at the end of the day, wasting his time and of not allowing him to drive his business to make more money at the end of the day, which is pretty astounding.
That is astounding.
Yeah. So, because most people, they just have an open calendar. It's like a Calendly link, here you go. Monday through Friday, it's like all times are open unless there's something else there. But yeah.
That's a horrible system.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Yes, I know.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
When you have to have boundaries around anything,
Yes.
you do.
Yes. Yeah. No, when you just have an open calendar, I don't know. To me, it also looks like you're not that busy. Like if you send me a Calendly link and it's just like you could book pretty much any time, it's like, do you have anything going on? But yeah, it's always funny. But then sometimes, someone will send you a Calendly link to try and book a meeting, and they have like one time available in the next 3 weeks. It's like, dude, I know you're also not that busy. It's like, you wanted to schedule a meeting with me. How are you going to make me pick a time like 4 weeks from now? It's like, I know you're not that busy. Don't try and send me this Calendly link with all these booked out times. It's almost like the opposite. It's going back to what that guy said, but I was like, but he also doesn't act like that guy. So I was like, I didn't end up booking a meeting with him.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that
Nothing
because
got booked.
it reminds me of my first business coach when
Mhm.
I started. And she advised me on my Calendly link to, put the boundaries around it,
Yep.
only be open certain days, but also like only 10 business days out. So if I was already booked, then you couldn't see past it. I don't follow that as much anymore because some people just need to see more
Yeah.
dates. I
Yeah.
mean,
But also having it further than like 30 days out is odd too.
yes,
It's like
I
booking
agree.
something in like July. It's like, calm down.
Let me just book for January of
Yeah,
next year.
let me go ahead and get on your calendar for a year from now. That is funny though. Cold calling, you get that all the time. It's like, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and book you on the calendar 1 year from now exactly.
Yeah. It is about boundaries though. So that's good to have them. And that's the thing I see probably the most is people not like meetings going overtime, like all that because they're afraid to say anything or
Mhm.
afraid to, what if they get mad at me or what if, but it's all they may be even not even having those thoughts
Yeah.
consciously, but
Yep.
it's subconsciously ran.
Well, I believe talking about meetings, isn't it Elon Musk the one that, or he probably didn't institute this, but I think he's the one that's famous for instituting like, if you're in a meeting and you are not getting value and you're not providing value, then you can leave the meeting, which makes a lot of sense. Because in large companies and even like, a smaller company like ourselves, sometimes meetings just, we're wasting everyone's time here. We're talking about bullshit. It's not important. Or, there's 6 people in a meeting and it's only pertaining to like 2 of them. There's a lot of time wasted in meetings. And especially if you got multiple people in that meeting and you're paying those people a good wage, it's a ton of money being wasted on an ongoing basis. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Because I know people that are like, middle management or upper management at large corporations, and it feels like they're in meetings half of every single day. It's like, is any work actually getting done?
Right.
Or is it just meeting after meeting, following up on the meeting we had last week?
Well, it also depends on like what your position is, because there's a lot of like middle management people where they only get work done during meetings.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
like creatives need time to actually do what they're working on. And then sales, I mean, you need to be meeting with people to actually get sales, but also you got to have time to do work, like to put together marketing plans and stuff.
Proposals, yeah. Yep.
Gary Vee does 15-minute meetings. And then Jeff Bezos has the 2 pizza rule, where if your meeting you can only have as many people that it takes to feed with 2 pizzas, which I don't know what that actually breaks out into. But I've seen the articles 100 times.
I would say that's like 4 to 6 people.
Yeah. So if you have more than that, can't have a meeting at Amazon.
I mean, that makes sense. Why do you need 10 people in a meeting?
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
We've met with large corporations and also our clients that, where their valuation, hundreds of millions of dollars, and sometimes they'll have like 4 marketing people in a meeting with us. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
So who's making the decision?
We have the
we
have like we essentially like the CMO, right? You have the chief marketing officer, you have the head of social, you have the head of content, you have the head of the website in there. It's like, this is entirely too much. But then they're outsourcing a bunch of marketing stuff too, and I'm like, it's always odd how that works. It's like there's a lot of money being wasted, but
Wonder how they fill their schedule with that many people.
Well, if you have meetings,
marketing.
If all those people are in meetings all day, they're just having meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of the time they were like, yeah, we got to go to another marketing meeting. Like after our marketing meeting to talk about, I guess, the meeting we just had. The amount of wasted time is insane. Insane. I'm glad I never had a office job where like I wasn't busy because I don't know what I would do. Like if I had a job where I could easily bullshit and really wasn't held accountable, because in sales, I mean, if you don't do stuff, you're just gonna end up not making any money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, or get fired.
True.
yeah, that too. That too.
One of the two.
That too. So all right, I'm curious. So you were originally a teacher.
I was never a teacher.
Why do I have this on here?
I have no idea.
You weren't a former educator.
No.
So we pulled
Good
it.
job,
We
Eric.
pulled it from it. I'm pretty sure it's on your website.
No.
We'll have to take a look.
Yeah. I wasn't a teacher.
What the hell?
I had
I
I had a degree in child development and psychology. Maybe
Okay.
that's where
That's
that came
probably
from.
where it came from.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe. But I
Okay.
was never a teacher.
So. Okay.
New question.
Put me on. Okay. So okay. With that said, doesn't matter. Next question. What led you into doing what you do now? Because obviously you did stuff beforehand. So what led you into being able to get your certificate? You know, you've done a ton of hours on NEPQ and everything else that goes into what you do with, you know, entrepreneurs, business owners, and things like that. Why'd you want to make that dive?
Yeah. So I started out in the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
actually in the mortgage business.
That's right.
Yeah.
I knew this. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I started out in the mortgage business. That's where I met my husband. Decided I wanted to stay home with kids and
Mhm.
do some kind of home-based business. And I really quickly found out that I was my own worst enemy.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I just started diving into personal growth because I've always, you know, my parents were entrepreneurs. My dad
Mhm.
was a farmer, hard worker. And
Did you grow up on a farm?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Yeah.
You want to hear a fun fact?
Yeah. What's the fun fact?
I grew up with over 100,000 chickens.
Holy shit.
Oh wow, that's a lot of chickens.
That is a ton.
Yeah.
How'd
Look
you
at
keep
all
how'd you
these
keep
chickens.
how'd you keep the chickens safe?
They were in cages. It was all so. This is like in the 70s.
Okay.
So it was before what we know now.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, fair. It's probably better than now.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there were some practices that probably wouldn't be looked upon very
Now,
nicely
bad for the
now.
chickens or bad for the food?
Both.
Okay, gotcha. Fair. Okay, so your parents
Sorry.
were both entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so they were both entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
That gave me the bug, but also, I mean, my dad he was a hard ass. Like
Mhm.
he was angry all the time, and
Being
I
a
don't know.
farmer, I feel like would make you angry.
yeah. Well, also he
That's
had
some
two
hard-ass
girls.
work. Yeah,
you
that-
know, he didn't have like
You didn't have the
You kn-
son to come help him.
right, right. So my mom would help, and you know, I would help as much as I could as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But he was angry all the time, and he was verbally abusive. So I mean that stayed with me. It
Yeah.
stayed with me through school, through college, and then when I wanted to start my own business, I mean that was always in the background. So I dove into personal growth, not even understanding really what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Followed stuff for literally years, just trying to get myself out of my own way, kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to fix myself somehow.
Yeah. Yep. Love how that goes.
Right. And then I kind of stumbled upon NLP.
Mhm.
Neuro-linguistic programming is that's most of my training. It's not
Mhm.
all of it.
Oh, I said NEP.
I don't know what you said. It was close.
NEPQ. That's a.
You did
What is
not
that?
come
That is-
prepared.
What
That's
research did
Jeremy
you do
Miner's
today,
like
Eric?
book. That's his like sales book.
Yeah, that's questions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's different. It's similar but different. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Go
well,
ahead.
everything's honestly NLP based.
Yeah.
I mean, sales and politics, the speeches, like everything has that base.
Mm-hmm.
I was in training for years, and then I ran across somebody that was doing a different technique that I had never came across with using NLP, and it changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
It totally, and it was immediate. It wasn't, oh, you got to do. I mean, it was immediate changes. Immediately, stopped procrastinating, immediately had better relationships. It was quick. Well, back then it was quick. It was like, I don't know, I spent all day with her.
Sure, sure.
And I have taken that process and moved it into, it's now 4 hours. That's what I'm known for.
So is it a flip of a switch? Is it something you need to maintain? Like, is it something you can fall back into bad habits? Or how does it work?
It changes people like permanently.
Okay,
Like, I mean,
okay.
it's the, there may be another layer that wasn't dealt with
Sure.
depending on, what things you have in your past.
Mm.
But once the change is made, it's made permanently, and immediately people have different behaviors. So you don't have to sit, January 1st,
Yep.
the gyms are full.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 weeks later, they're not.
Yep.
It's all open. It's because they didn't make the changes subconsciously.
Yeah.
They're consciously trying to make changes, and it's the same in a business. When you consciously try and do it, it's really, really hard to stay consistent.
Yes. So you're getting into the subconscious. So I'm curious, how do you, when you're figuring out some of these issues, how do you not almost get into being like their counselor at some point?
It's different. I know. I had a lady call me yesterday, and she's like, "Yeah, I heard you were a therapist, something," and I'm like, "No, I'm not a therapist." It's funny because I worked with a sales team locally here for a couple of years, and I'd go in on Friday mornings to work with their team, and they joke. They're like, "Oh, our therapist is here."
Yep.
It's not therapy. It's different because therapy takes you through like the stuff you're going through at the time.
Yes.
I don't care about that.
Mm.
All I'm looking is how can we change the behavior?
Yes.
So I'm literally looking up, up here to like, what can we do to change the behavior? How did that behavior form? What's the cause of it? And let's rewire it so that it doesn't keep happening.
Interesting. Is there specific questions that you usually like to ask that'll get you kind of into what you think may be an issue?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trained in questions. I also feel like I've got a little bit of a spidey sense about it.
Sure.
I mean, after doing it for as long as I have.
Sure.
Where I can listen to just have a conversation with someone, asking them some questions, and they honestly, most of the time, they give themselves away. They say the thing, and they don't even realize it because it's subconscious. And I'll be able to pinpoint, yep, that's it. That's the thing. And it's like dominoes. Like when you get to the main one, it knocks out all the other stuff. And it's not a cure-all for everything. But when you get to that core thing, it can make everything else different. Everything else, you do, because it affects your business and your relationships. Like everything changes.
Yep. That's awesome. Okay. Chris, we're going to need to get some NLP work done here.
I mean, yeah, NEPQ work definitely needs
NEPQ.
I mean, it's a shame, right? I thought I was going to learn about why you hate Panera so much, dive down into your subconscious to figure it out.
Oh.
But you're not a therapist or a
So
teacher.
I'll tell
or anything else
we don't need to get to deep subconscious. I hated working there. That's one of the reasons.
You say that, but I hated working at half my last jobs. I don't hate the
I'll
companies.
I'll NLP myself. It's because I didn't get a promotion to trainer, which back in the day was like 20 cents more an hour. So I ended up stopped going to work on time, got fired, and now when you go there to eat lunch, it's $20 for bread and some mediocre sandwich toppings.
So what are you upset about? That you're not paying it $17 anymore? That you didn't get that 20-cent raise?
Well,
30 years ago?
So in 2015, they were still paying $9.50. They were paying under $10 an hour for almost everyone that worked there. I don't know what they're getting paid now.
They get paid pretty good. My son works there.
Yeah.
He makes more. My
daughter
works.
Do they ask for tips at Panera now?
They do. They do.
We didn't even get to ask for tips when we worked there.
Huh.
No tipping.
I mean, almost every
So if you would have had
company in
tips, you would have been
food
fine.
No, if No, well, my question is, how does that actually get dispersed in Panera? Because
I'm told that it's divided amongst the whole team, whoever's working there.
interesting.
Yeah.
So they
But
must.
it doesn't amount to much. I've also been told that it doesn't.
Okay, but
amount to much.
also
Okay.
it's a Panera. Like it's essentially McDonald's. Why do you tip them? That
You
goes
sh-
into a whole tipping
You
thing.
shouldn't have to.
Right.
That's
you-
that is a whole other conversation.
Catering, you should tip.
Right. But it's
But
a
if you-
McDonald's.
But if you are responsible for going up,
If I'm gonna tip at Panera, I might as well
Placing-
tip it at McDonald's and Wendy's and anywhere else.
tipping culture's out of control.
So do you tip your driver when he delivers the food, though?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
that's fine then.
Yes. You tip delivery drivers, you tip Uber drivers, you tip waiters and waitresses, you tip bartenders, but other than that, like tipping at like Starbucks is insane to me.
I mean, I understood it whenever it was like an
Appar-
actual coffee shop and they did like they were
apparently
actual baristas.
Toast and Starbucks takes a lot of that money back. Like apparently a lot of that doesn't even go to the employees, which I
See?
wouldn't be surprised about either.
It's a scam.
I mean, it's all Toast. So think about Toast. So Toast makes a percentage off of every single transaction. Of course, they want every single place to charge a tip. Like you've been in places, even been in places where it's like a service-based place, and they ask for tip. I forget where I was at. I was like, what?
We need to start adding that to all our invoices.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah,
Hey,
you
we
wanna
just
tip
have
us?
something.
Our
I-
clients need to start
One other
tipping us.
thing.
What the hell?
We had a plumber come out last week at our house. Faucet broke, and when I was signing paying the bill, there was like a section for tips,
That's insane.
and I was like, "Man, we just paid you like $500."
Did you ask him?
I asked him. I said, "Do people actually tip you?" And he said, "I mean, because I skipped through it." And
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, we usually get at least one a day." And he said, "It's not a lot. It'll be enough to pay lunch." And I'm like, "All right."
He should not. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Yeah. If you're already, as a plumbing company, you should already know how much a service costs. You should know how much you're making an hour, X, Y, and Z. Just charge what it costs. Why are you asking for a tip on top?
Well, you're talking about
That's
he's an
crazy.
employee. He's not the owner of the company. You're paying the tip to the employee.
Actually, this was the owner.
I was,
Oh,
ab-
that's so
I was-
much worse. That's so bad.
I was about to say, this is probably an owner. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of wondered though because they use Square. Like, I wondered if it was just something that's on Square,
is.
where you can where it's maybe not an option. I don't know.
So it's an option, but it's auto on.
Yeah,
Because
they probably
again, they
didn't
wouldn't.
know. They
what-
probably didn't know how to turn it off. Plumbers aren't techie.
That could be it. That could be it. They need to get introduced to ITSDL.
When Square charges you like a credit card charge, is that automatic on the bill? Like it automatically tacks on that charge?
No.
No.
So
The
then-
company loses 3% ish.
So then the tip might be trying to cover that in some way.
Nah, there shouldn't be a tip.
Yeah,
I
you shouldn't
literally,
be tipping. Are you
I
going to
used
tip
to
your
feel-
mechanic?
I used to feel bad.
I have before in the past, yes.
I used to feel bad when I pressed 0, but now it's like almost like I almost kind of feel empowered. I'm like 0 because you almost always have to choose other, and they're looking at you,
Yeah, I love and it's just going to ask you a question.
and then I'm like,
You turn it
0.
around.
Yeah, it's like what?
And then they're like, look away, but they're kind of looking still.
Yeah. I maybe I'm out of touch, but I honestly think the tipping culture in the United States is out of control. It's absolutely insane. It makes no sense. And yes, I have tipped my mechanic, but that's only because
But are you going to tip them every time?
But I only
Yes.
no. I don't tip him when he does service work. But when I go in, like recently, I went in and he like screwed something back on. It took him like 15 minutes, and he's like, "You're good." I threw him like some money.
Well,
'Cause he wasn't gonna
that's
charge me.
different.
But no, I'm not gonna give him a tip on top of what he's charging me because I already know he's making good money off what he's charging me.
Right. You go in
So
for
I
an
don't
oil
ask-
change and you're like, you know what? I think this needs to cost $20.
Yeah,
more."
I don't ask for discounts, so I assume I'm not getting discounts. I'm assuming I'm paying like everyone else.
Yeah.
Now, if you go above and beyond, like, you fix something for me and you don't charge something, then yeah. But that's like a mechanic is like one of the rare case scenarios. Or you have like a tradesman friend that comes over and he doesn't charge you and you throw him, some beer and some cash.
That's not a tip.
Yeah,
though.
but that's
just a
different from
favor.
like
I know,
an
that's what I'm saying.
actual.
That's what
They
I'm saying.
performed a service.
A tip only
You
makes
pay
sense
for
for a
the
waiter,
service.
waitress, or bartender, or Uber driver or delivery driver. That's it.
Yeah, so that same logic. When I helped my friend move, he should have given me a tip, right? He just gave me pizza and beer instead. Does that count?
I mean, it's not like your friend's sending you printing out a toast invoice and having you sign it and asking for a tip, that's insane. A plumber? That's crazy.
Yeah, I really do think it was probably just on the square and they didn't take it
I'm
off.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm surprised they haven't gotten a bad review though, because if he gets at least one a day, I'm surprised someone hasn't been like, "What the hell? You're asking for a tip 1 star." that is crazy. That is insane. Okay, Chris, what you got over there? I know you're looking at Kimberly's site.
Yeah, I went through our whole website. I downloaded the book.
There
There's
you
a
go.
$0 to $1 million case study.
Didn't you just have the one go on Amazon top one
Mm-mm.
for a book?
Oh, for a book. Yes,
Yeah.
that was part of the grit. I wrote a chapter in a book, part
Nice.
of the grit series.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. I bought that on Amazon.
Yeah. That was a cool
I didn't know there was a
process.
series.
Yeah, they have.
I read Grit.
Yeah, there's like 4.
Oh, wow.
She's local, right?
Yes, she is local.
Yeah. She's not Black Book, right? That's someone
No,
else.
that's somebody else.
Okay. Yeah, I forget what her name is. What's her name? That she does.
Jennifer Bardot.
Yeah. So she written? There's 4 books now.
Yeah.
Have they all been like with other authors?
Yeah, they've all been collaborative, like 40 authors in a book. They've all gone to international bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I had never, I haven't written a book
Sure.
yet other than this.
Sure.
And this was like a nice dip your toe in, see
Mhm.
what it's like. And I underestimated the launch day and what that would be like. They told us like clear your calendar, all that. I'm like, oh, there's 40 people. Like you got
Yes.
to post and stuff. But
Yeah.
how
You want to be going live
how
and everything.
horrible could it be? And dang, I wish I would have listened to that because it was like almost emotionally. It was emotionally overwhelming because there was just so much hype and
Mhm.
celebrating and oh my gosh, we're so close to this because they were just constantly giving us numbers.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a really, really great experience.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE, career, CAREERSTL.com.
to become a business owner today. Again, one more time, visit insurancecareer, STL, as in St. Louis.com today, right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.
Now back to the show. So how long was your chapter? How long did it end up being?
I don't know. It's maybe 3 pages.
Okay. Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
So what'd you talk about in it?
So it was my chapter was called Embracing the Storms, and it was basically my story of how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff I went through with my dad and how it affected me later.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, understanding like how subconscious filters work.
Yeah.
And just the connections in all of that and how it showed up in my business.
I feel like the more we talk about this, I feel some demons coming out, some subconscious demons that I need to get addressed. Have you ever had someone take more than 4 hours? You're like, this guy's really fucked up. He or she needs
Do you
more
ever
than 4
refer
hours.
people to therapists?
Yeah.
I
Like,
do,
you actually
actually.
need to talk
It's
to
like
somebody.
it's like we took the first step, but
You need some work.
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, if they're actively in something, then yes. Like if they're, I worked with a guy. Actually, I took him on as a client because I didn't know, and he was active alcoholic. I didn't know. I thought he was
Yeah.
past it,
yeah,
and I'm like, dude, this isn't working. Like,
obviously.
this is not a good fit.
First step, stop drinking.
Right. Right. Like I can help with things like addictions,
Mhm.
like so that you don't keep craving things, like just stop the way you store it,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
The strategy behind the behavior. But man, if you're still in it, like
Mhm.
you need the 12-step program
Yeah.
first.
Isn't that kind of what hypnosis is?
Yeah.
I don't understand hypnosis at all, but apparently it works miracles for people for like quitting, addictive things and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm not a hypnotist. I don't do that, but NLP
Mhm.
is based in hypnotic language.
Okay.
So
okay.
there's definitely a connection there, but
Mhm.
you're totally aware and you know what's happening.
Yeah.
It's the language behind it that helps you shift.
Yeah. Have you ever had the group events where they have a group hypnotherapist?
They did that at my school.
Yeah, they did it. They did it at my high school a couple times and didn't work on me. But other people were like passing out in their chair. I'm like, you're faking.
We had a girl who like
But apparently,
swore it was real.
if you don't like 100% believe, then it like
Yeah, if you don't believe in the hypnotist, you're not going to get hypnotized.
right, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm in high school. I'm like,
I
who the hell is this guy?
I went when I was in, I guess, college.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously before I did the work that I do now, to quit smoking. I
Yeah.
smoked. I started
That's a big
smoking
thing,
when
yeah.
I was 13 years old.
Damn,
I know.
starting early.
Right. And then I quit, it was probably after college when I
Yeah.
officially, I tried a whole bunch of stuff. It was back when smoking was more cool.
Yeah, I
It's
was
not
about
very cool right
Honestly,
now.
yeah. And you were on a farm, like you were probably a late bloomer.
I was about to say smoking cigs now is not looked at as cool anymore.
No,
No.
it's all about vaping.
I feel like when I was in high school, it was kind of like the end of cigs, looking cool, like 2010.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with candy cigarettes. So there's that.
That's true. That's true. Those were always a thing. Oh, cigarettes are so weird. They got us addicted young. Now that you think about it, because we were all like, "Yo, give me some candy cigarettes" as a child. Did you ever the peppermint things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They look like little straws,
Yeah.
and everyone would call them candy cigs.
Absolutely
No, I
fantastic.
never had 'em.
Yeah, they're great. I never thought about.
Talk about programming.
Damn, I know.
Literally, that was programming. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just the culture, though. I mean, if you went to a movie, the
Mhm.
Hollywood stars were smoking.
Yep.
That was cool. And I mean, I remember our family gatherings. My grandma smoked. My aunts and uncles smoked. Like
Mhm.
it was just a smoky mess. And-
Restaurants, every single restaurant.
Yeah.
Smoked in. Used to smoke on airplanes. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But it was normal. Like it was
Yeah.
just like
Yep.
something you did.
Well, when I still watch shows like Mad Men and things like that, I'm like, oh, it'd be nice just to go back to that for like a week or two, just to live
Yeah,
like
and then
that.
everything smells like smoke.
Yeah, everything will smell like smoke for like a week or two. It'd probably be cool, and then like the nostalgic would wear away and be like, all right,
Yeah.
let's go back to clean society. But now we also know that it definitely kills you and it's not good for you. Even though they did know that a long time ago as well.
Probably.
Yeah, they have a whole Mad Men episode about that.
I know.
Where they're talking about it. It's
Yeah.
like they keep saying it kills us, but I don't know.
He's like, we can't say recommended by doctors anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I actually use smoking as a just an example with the work I do with something called secondary gain that we all have when we want to hang on to a behavior.
Mm-hmm.
All smokers know it's bad for them. The reason they hang on to it, the reason I hung on to it is because I had this sense of being social.
Mm-hmm.
I had this sense of like togetherness. It gave me a sense of peace. It's the good emotions that you feel from something
Yeah.
that you think subconsciously is better. So that's why you hang on to stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean that's why a smoker keeps smoking. That's why the person doesn't go to the gym or doesn't stay consistent with it because the comfort of their bed is better. Or
Yeah.
maybe the way their habits are now, maybe it gives them some form of comfort or peace or something.
I feel like a lot of people are addicted to cigarettes or just smoking in general have a smoking sensation. Like they just like to smoke
Yeah.
anything. Like they like the act of inhaling and blowing out
Yeah.
a cigarette
Yeah.
or
When I finally
an
quit,
e-cig or anything like that.
when I finally quit, I cut up straws. It would just like, that
Yeah,
was like
it's-
one of
it's-
my things.
it's
The
like the-
hypnosis didn't work.
Yeah, it's like the oral it's like the whole sensation that you get throughout smoking. That was the hardest thing for me when I quit cigs. Was that itself, was the actual act of smoking I just liked.
So
Yeah.
is it the deep breaths that you like taking?
Oh yeah.
Like you just stand there and
Yeah,
you're
I
taking
think
deep
that's
breaths?
part of it though, because it does. I mean, breathing in.
Yeah, it's like
it-
a breathing
yeah,
technique
it-
essentially.
It's
Right.
It's
It-
kind of like everyone needs to start smoking cigs, it sounds like, and therefore we can all meditate. We're meditating when we're smoking cigs. Breathe in and out. I still sometimes smoke nicotine, sadly enough, because it is very addictive. And I asked someone,
Don't let him trick you. He also vapes like a fiend.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
You're
E-cigs.
putting vaping under sometimes?
I'd only do it. I don't buy my own. Okay.
Yeah, but you can go and steal
I
constantly.
just
You're
might.
that guy.
I
That,
just
hey,
might
can I
steal-
borrow a cig?
I just might
Can I-
steal
You
others.
Venmo'd Katie for her to buy you some.
Shh, don't call me out on the pod, dude.
Katie was a co-host.
My
on
family,
here.
my family listens to this. Calm down.
Every time you had a session, you would literally say, "Hey, give me that vape before and after the podcast." You just take it from her
Hey,
hand.
all right, we need an NLP, Matt. Matt, tell him to get this thought out of his head. So I'm curious. Going back to transformations, what's the best transformation you've seen from
Oh,
going through your process?
Yeah. There's actually somebody locally that I worked with who, and it wasn't that it was the biggest, but it was the fastest,
Yeah.
which made it the biggest
Mhm,
because
sure.
she came because she wanted to scale her business. She wanted to hire employees, all that stuff. Hadn't been able to do it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And she's a smart woman. She had like 2 other businesses that were going well. And it didn't make a lot of sense. And I worked with her, and she thought it was fear of success, fear of failure, imposter syndrome. She had all these things in her head, and what it came down to was trust.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she had some bad shit happen to her when she was a teen, and before that she thought she had worked through
Yeah.
in counseling. I see a lot of people that have gone through counseling and they think they've resolved it,
Mm-hmm.
which they have consciously,
Yeah.
but the behavior is still there.
Interesting.
So we worked with that, and she did 1 4-hour session. Literally right after the session, she's texting me and going, "Oh my gosh, I see this opportunity. I see this opportunity." Like instantly, within 3 weeks, she had hired 2 people. Within 90 days, she increased her sales like by 67%. It was just profound.
That's amazing. So just from that, yeah, that's all. That's astounding that someone can have that realization and make those changes that are going to impact their business and themselves immediately. Um,
Yeah, and over
that's
time it works over time too
sure,
because
sure.
her relationships, she actually left a relationship that was not good for her, and I
Hmm.
didn't know anything about that,
Yeah.
but she left a relationship that wasn't good for her. And didn't realize it before. She was just putting up with shit that
Yep.
she shouldn't have.
Yep.
And so she ended up leaving, and I mean just so much happier in general now. So it is, not, I don't know, some people may not view that as a good result, but it was good for her.
Well, I mean, if it's a bad relationship, good for her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
Of course. So with you also do some programs as well, right? As far as like a 6 week or an 8 week. I know you were doing those. Do you still have those going as
I
well?
don't have those going anymore. I'm
Okay.
actually launching a membership.
Okay, awesome.
And we start today.
Nice. All right, there we
Literally,
go.
it's called the Success Collective.
Okay.
And I haven't promoted it a whole lot, so I'm starting small with it. But we'll meet, monthly. And what I'm doing in that, I've got a couple different levels in there. But what I'm doing in that is teaching people the tools that
Mhm.
I use. And, if they're in the second level, I'm actually going to teach them why it works. And
Okay.
then they can practice with each other and learn how the tool works, because I think that's important. And for some people, they really want to know.
100%. Yeah, knowing how it works. Well, that way it kind of the mystery, isn't there anymore, which is nice
Right.
for people to understand. That's good. And it'll probably make the subconscious happier too, right?
Well, it does. I
Right.
mean, that's part of, when I do that 4 hour, the first, maybe not whole hour, but the first good part of it is
Mhm.
just explaining the process so that their subconscious mind simmers down,
Yep.
because you're like nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that comes to, they're nervous. They're
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, because they know the change is coming.
Yep. Well, my biggest thing going through something like that would just be, is this going to work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having that thought process, having the having the skeptic mindset, and then something like I was saying about hypnosis. I was like, you just walk into something skeptic and don't give something a chance to actually work, then maybe it won't work. But if you bring down that wall,
Yeah.
that's the best first step.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as the new program is concerned, where can they find that? Is that on your website, or is that
It's-
on a separate website?
It's right on my website
Okay.
at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's a button at the top.
All right. Well, we'll have that in the description. So if you're looking for that, you can find it in the description of this video. Please show Kimberly some love. Check it out. So as far as the coaching practice, what is one thing that someone, if they want to start taking a look at potentially, in their own lives, some sort of trauma that may have happened in the past, is there anything that they can ask themselves, maybe that they can move forward with something without, having to talk with you?
Yeah, honestly, what it comes down to is you have to slow down.
Yeah.
You got to slow down enough
Mm-hmm.
that you can ask yourself questions like, what is, and ask yourself, like, where else is this behavior showing up?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time it shows up in other areas, but it may show up differently.
Sure.
And what's the reasoning behind that? Because once you're aware of it, it's like, the subconscious mind, everything's under here. It's under,
Yes.
you've seen the iceberg
Mm-hmm.
analogy. It's
Mhm.
all under the iceberg. But once you're aware of it, you're aware of it.
Yes.
You may not always be able to control it, but you've at least made an awareness, and it's no longer in the subconscious. And then you can choose to stop
Mm-hmm.
and make another choice.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, the subconscious mind does some weird things. If I haven't taken a psychology class in a long time, but learning about like the subconscious, because we still don't know, I guess, a ton about it, about how it. We know enough about it, how it works, but it's not like we know a ton about it. Same with like dreaming and things like that. It's all kind of like a weird state that we as humans still don't 100% fully understand,
Yeah, true.
and it's interesting.
Yeah.
When something is not 100% explainable, I always get
That's
upset.
well,
I'm
that's
like,
where the
can someone
skeptic
figure
comes
this
in.
out? Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I
it's it,
know.
but all of it. I mean, science is catching up to it.
Yep.
Like all of it, it's the scientific facts behind it is there.
Mhm. Well, yeah. I mean, if you can show scientifically that it works, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Which, which obviously you've shown time and time again that it does work. So I'm curious, has anyone that you have walked through this process with had such a profound experience that they're like, I want to do this for other people?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually and I don't talk about this, and you're not going to find it on my website.
Mhm.
But I have 3 coaches that I'm coaching. I
Okay.
know coaches coach. I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
I listened
sure.
to your podcast about that.
Yeah.
I'm teaching them my process because
Yes.
you can't find my process. I don't do it the way I was taught and
Mhm.
trained. And so I'm teaching them, and they're in different, types of industries. I mean, one is in health, one's in sales, another one does, grief kind of things. And they wanted to learn how to do it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited. All right. Chris, do you got anything else before we wrap up for today? I know we got one talking point we wanted to talk about, right? What I say? I said something before. You're gonna make me pull it back up.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, the bridge collapse.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Let's talk about the bridge collapse real quick.
We haven't gone too off topic this.
Yeah, we've stayed pretty on topic. So okay, bridge collapse. I talked about this at Easter, and I am surprised. For the most part, there's not a lot of conspiracies right now from my family members.
I don't know. There's a lot of people
Oh.
saying,
Which I-
oh,
which
I've
there's
heard some
fail-safes.
conspiracies.
I was
Which-
about to say what?
There's the deep
Which
state.
I know. No, hold on. You didn't let me get to it, which I appreciated and I was surprised by. With that said, I think that this is one of the less conspiracy things that would happen. I don't think there's some sort of big conspiracy going on behind this. I'll put it that way. Because like everyone's like, the ship changed course. Well, what they did was they looked at the current and they think once the boat essentially lost power, apparently it takes like 45 seconds to get the backup generator running. They can't change the rudder and where it's at. If they're no longer under power, then they're just floating and then the current can take them wherever they were going. The other big thing was, I think the biggest thing is like, why is our infrastructure such shit?
No
Why-
doubt.
like
yeah.
in the Baltimore port. So I saw a lot of people saying Baltimore was like one of the busiest ports or
Yeah.
like the second busiest port. It's not. We looked
No,
this
it's
up.
not.
No.
Oh, really?
It's not even in the top 10 in the United States.
Oh, no kidding.
Overall imports and exports. Look it up. Los Angeles,
Well, they said it's for vehicles.
Long
right?
Beach, New Jersey, Savannah, Georgia,
Savannah,
Houston,
Georgia surprises me.
Port of Virginia. It's not on any top 10 list. And I also looked at it by
That debunks all the conspiracy theories that I've heard.
I know.
So that totally debunks it.
I know. So that was a big conspiracy theory.
Google has it at 14.
Yeah. So it's like number 14 or 15. But my biggest thing is like, why on arguably, okay, it's still very important port. Obviously, any port we have is super important for trade. But not only that, I-95, right? That is that is I-95. That is one of the most important interstates, arguably the most important interstate on the eastern seaboard that goes all the way from like, I don't even know. I think maybe not Maine, but essentially all the way down to Florida. That got taken out by this. Why don't we have some sort of system in place? I think a lot of laws are going to change and things are going to change in ports. The tugboat, they didn't have to have a tugboat where they were at. They didn't have anything surrounding the bridges. It's like, why If it's that important of infrastructure, why do we not have something protecting those bridges? Because a terrorist is like, holy shit, all we have to do is get on a boat
Right.
and just go next to a bridge and blow up a bridge. It's like, why would they not do that? Why would they not just go start blowing up bridges if you can get right next to a bridge and plant a bomb?
I mean, they didn't have that many people who even died from it. Like, it was 6 people, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were able
1:30 in the
to-
No,
morning,
I'm
so-
not saying I'm not saying it's a terrorist from the circumstance of killing people. I'm saying a terrorist in the circumstance
Just
of
to hit infrastructure, I mean, they
Yes.
could hit anything.
yes.
Yeah.
We drive over probably a dozen bridges on your way to work.
That's what I'm saying. So why? So if not the government, I would ask, if our infrastructure is so important, why are we not protecting these waterways?
Yeah, but
But-
how many boats go in and out without hitting anything?
Exactly.
Like,
but
how long has the Baltimore port been open?
But
How
all
long
it
has that
ta-
bridge been there?
I think that
And it's
bridge
been
was
totally
built in
fine.
the 70s.
70s. But all it takes
Yeah.
is one.
Right. So the last 50 years, it's been fine.
All it takes is one. Like this.
Yeah, but you can say that for anything.
So I want to get
Yeah.
your opinion on this real quick. Should, because it's Singapore is the company that owns the boat,
Yes.
should they be responsible for paying to fix the bridge, or should Joe Biden say it should come from the American taxpayers? Because we're paying for it now. Well,
Don't they have insurance?
they do. We should literally be charging them. Like, we'll pay for it first. We get the money back from Singapore eventually. It'll take years, but whatever.
I mean, they're going to go under for that.
Well, yeah,
Probably.
probably.
Like how much money that's going to cost? That's
But
insane.
We're
They're-
not doing that, though. We're just going to pay for the bridge out of pocket because why not? No.
Well, I mean, with how everything else is going with our government, we might as well fucking pay for it. Like we pay for everything else.
Why not?
By the time like Matt, by the time we're like 70 and 80, hopefully you're gone by then, because then you're not going to have to deal with the repercussions of what's going on now. We are not going to be able to afford, most people are not going to be able to afford to live, dude. Like I don't understand the debt. I actually just watched a podcast and they were talking about Trump versus Biden, and they were talking about RFK, and he was like, David Friedberg, he was like, I don't care about any of these people because no one is answering the only thing that matters, which is our outstanding debt. Apparently, we're adding like $10 trillion worth of debt every single week. And eventually that's going to come due.
Yeah.
And we just keep pushing the can down the road. And he's like, that's the only thing that should matter.
Yeah, it's because China already owns us.
Well,
Yeah, he's like, we're talking about TikTok. He's like, we're talking about Trump owes this money. He's like, none of this shit matters. None of this matters. He's like, the only thing that matters is literally the amount of money the government spends on an ongoing basis, and it continues to drive us in the hole. And that's the only thing that matters, and no one's talking about it. Not even RFK. He doesn't have an answer for it either.
Yeah. It's a tough question.
Yeah. And the thing is, no one's going to get voted in that's going to be like, hey, we need a cut. Because the people that get voted in are the people that say, hey, we're going to get more. If that's always the case, then I don't see how it ever
I
changes.
don't know. It feels like it's going to implode at some point.
There's a national debt calculator or clock, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Does it show there should show the one that says weekly.
It's got to be insane.
Debt per citizen, $102,000.
Debt per taxpayer, 266,000.
How per what? That per.
Per taxpayer.
Okay, so per lifetime.
Nah,
Is
it's
that-
just
So
split by how many taxpayers
No,
there
because
are.
like the taxes are paid by like 40% of the people. That's what that's saying.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's a. It doesn't say where the.
Wow, I think this is the craziest part. In 1980, the debt to GDP ratio was 34%.
Yeah, that's
In
the other thing.
2000, it was 58%.
Yep.
And now it's 122%.
122%. Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. So
No.
this is the most important thing facing our country right now, I think, is this. And I'm in agreement. We got a lot of other important shit too, but if we don't fix the money, everything else is lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to look this up, usdebtclock.org. Just running totals. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, for what how did we get on this? What were we talking about?
He asked about the bridge and how you felt about
Oh,
us
yeah.
paying for it.
That's crazy.
We should not pay
Because
for
that's
it.
going to cost. How much is that going to cost?
Oh, let me look.
Like, I
It's
can't.
got to be billions.
What was the cost of the bridge? What was the cost of the bridge originally? What's the bridge called?
Yeah.
The Key Bridge.
Key Bridge?
Let's look up the cost of the Key Bridge. It says
I have
new.
to-
It says new bridge cost. New bridge could cost at least 400 mil.
Yeah, that's
This
not
is-
as bad as you would think.
No, that's not as bad as I would have thought.
While the cost could be at least 400 mil or more than twice that.
Oh, so
Wait, so
they,
what?
they have no clue.
Here's
They have
AP.
no
know.
clue is what they're
AP
saying.
News could take anywhere from 18 months to several years. Could be 400 million or more than twice that. Oh, thanks for the accurate reporting.
Because I
Wow.
understand, like,
So
again,
it could
if-
be like a bill. It'll probably, honestly, it could be like probably a bill.
Well, because they're probably going to pay extra for it to be done fast.
Well, they have to
And
demolish
then
it.
there's going to be
They have to get all of
setbacks.
this stuff out of the river. They still didn't find 2 of the bodies because there's stuff down there.
Yeah, they're stuck.
So,
Yeah, what about all the toxic stuff that was dumped too?
yeah.
Like it was batteries and
Yeah.
stuff.
So
that's
so
not
apparently they
great.
always keep the toxic stuff on the front of the ships because that way if there's ever an issue, like it's right then and there. And it's not like in the bottom of the ship that's going to cause a bunch of issues.
Mm.
But all of the conspiracies I heard were like, you know, it was like they steered into the bridge. It's like no they didn't.
Why would you do that?
To take down the bridge. That's the only reason.
I know.
It's
but
to
it
cause-
just doesn't
it's to
make
cause-
any sense.
It's to cause trouble for the United States. But yeah, it's like if you're going to go after maybe there's some sort of super important infrastructure in Baltimore. I don't know. But it seems like if you're going to hit something, you know, why would you not hit a more important port? But also, I don't know what other port is behind a bridge that like you need to get through. Because I know with like Houston, I doubt you have to go under a bridge to get through. LA and, you know,
Right.
them you don't. Virginia you don't have to. New York I'm not sure. But a lot of them you actually don't have to go past the bridge to get in.
Hmm.
Or at least like that. So maybe that's the case.
Maybe it had something to do with the election.
Yeah, I don't see who this helps though.
I don't either. I'm just.
Especially if Biden's going to come out and be like, we're going to pay for it. It's like, calm down, dude.
I mean, it definitely ain't helping him. I'm pretty sure.
It's like,
his
I know
campaign
your
lost people to
Yeah, it's like I know your whole family is set up with trust for to the end of eternity, but that doesn't mean everyone else is. My God. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Unless you got something else you want to talk about, Kimberly. You got anything you want to talk about?
No,
No.
no, I'm good.
All right, cool.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before we wrap it up, where can people find you? I know we gave a shout out to your website
Yeah.
before. If you want to
Yeah.
let everyone know where they can find you.
Sure. KimberlyLebbing.com is the website. And it's Lebbing is Lebbing. People
Mhm.
get that wrong sometimes.
That's the easier one. Because
do you-
with Kimberly, is it EY? Is it just
no,
Y?
it's Ly.
See?
Yeah. But Lebbing, I get letting, I get like all kinds
Mm.
of other pronunciations on that. And then I'm all over on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, sometimes TikTok.
Yeah, sure. I know. I just started using TikTok a couple weeks ago, and
I feel like you could do really well on TikTok.
it's interesting.
I
Yeah.
actually have gotten a couple clients from TikTok.
Oh, wow.
I have. Within the first 60 days of getting on there,
Mhm.
which is amazing. But then I haven't seen anything yet since. And now I'm like, is it really worth my time? I mean, I like to work smart, not hard.
Yes, that's fair. That's another thing most business owners do. They work hard, but they don't work smart.
Yes. Yeah, that's huge.
All right. So if you please follow Kimberly, she's got great stuff. Go to her website. We'll have it linked below. That's all the time we have for today. However, we will be back next week at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time with a new episode, new guest. If you're watching live or later, we said something wrong, said something you hate. I'm sure on TikTok, at least, we'll get some conspiracy comments saying you're completely wrong about the bridge. It's China. I could be wrong. I don't work for the CIA. Finally, we recorded this
Why would they have done it through a Singapore ship if it was China? That's just
Don't
that's
you know China
we'll go
owns
deeper.
Singapore? I mean, look at what happened with TikTok.
I don't know anything about that. Anyways,
they're different.
Shout out to Half Coast Studios. Hopefully we can get a low profile mic stand here because this thing, as you can see, is really in my way. But if you're looking to record a podcast here with hopefully just 2 people, that way you don't have that issue. You can, if you go to Google, you type in St. Louis Podcast Recording Studio. They are ranked #1 thanks to the help to the boys at Vi Media. You're welcome. You can reach them at Half Coast Studios if you're looking to record a podcast. They do a great job on the back end of things, making sure that it's recorded properly. The audio is usually good. Sometimes there's some, but for the most part, I mean, they do a decent job here. So if you're looking for a decent job in St. Louis, you can go to halfcoaststudios.com. All right. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Flame. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Kimberly, and a pleasure hosting this podcast for the people of St. Louis. We'll see everyone again next week. Thank you.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you, the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE. Career, CAREERSTL.com.
To become a business owner today, again, one more time, visit insurancecareerstl, as in St. Louis.com today, right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.